I guess Japanese knives are very different. They are sharpened only on one side and actually way thicker usually than the Western knives. And you have to use them differently. For Western knives, you do what we call in Japanese sikigiri, where you just like you pull while you cut.
Mm-hmm.
And in Japanese cooking, you usually do oshigiri, which is like pushing while you cut. So you cut in a different direction. And in Western cooking, you do everything from your... Holy shit, what is that part called?
The wrist.
From your wrist. Yeah, so you moving with your wrist, and in Japanese cooking you're moving from your elbow, so you're supposed to keep like your arm straight and all the movement comes from your elbow.
That's interesting. Does it have a very different impact on the outcome, or is it like just a matter of practicality? Like, will it affect the flavor of the food because it's cut in a different way, and maybe the meat fibers or something like that are like...
It depends. It kind of depends on the length of your knife. If you make sashimi, it makes a difference. Whether you use a Japanese knife or a Western knife, because Japanese knives are way sharper. So the cut is like more clean, and it makes a totally different mouthfeel. Oftentimes, it depends on the shape of the knife. If your Western knife is relatively straight, you can use the Japanese cutting technique, but you could never use the Western cutting technique with a Japanese knife because the shape doesn't support it. Like, Western knives are a bit more curved, so you can work out of your wrist.
Mm-hmm.
And Japanese knives usually are very straight because you're supposed to cut out from your elbow. So I guess the answer is not easy. It kind of depends.
So for you at school, technique of cutting and preparing is a very big part of the training.
Yeah, for sure. Like, actually, one of the cooking techniques in Japanese cuisine is just kiru, so cutting. So cutting actually is not like a preparation. It's one of the cooking techniques. So, even though it's not cooking technically because you keep the ingredients raw. But yeah, it has an important part.
Give you like a mountain of onion, and just for one day you just cut the onions and cry yourself through until you can master that cutting technique?
Kind of, but we don't use onions in Japanese cuisine. So our, I guess, like, victim of choice is daikon, so radish. Yeah, because maybe you have seen it before, like somewhere on YouTube, where people like peel the radish like very, very thinly. That's basically the equivalent of Japanese cuisine to the onion cutting of Western cuisine.
Interesting.
Yeah. You have to practice that for, I guess, at least a year until you're like somewhat good.